Joining us right now is House Majority Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise, here in the studio. Congressman, good to see you.
Great to be back, Maria.
This is such an important bill. You support this bill. Explain it, because I don't know that people understand that the government can actually access your emails without a warrant if they're 6 months older.
Maria, this is frightening. Exactly. Any email that anybody has that's on a private server that's older than 6 months, the federal government, any federal agency can go and access it today without a warrant, and they do. Agencies like the IRS have been going in and getting emails for years, and we've been working to try to defeat this, to overturn this. Kevin Yoder from Kansas led the effort. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill to say that they can no longer do this. You need to go get a warrant, but you cannot just go and access somebody's email just by asking for it. And by the way, they don't even have to notify you. So if they've pulled your data, the only time you might find out is if they found something they want to go after you on, and then you get some letter from a criminal investigation agency.
And you're going to take action on this week?
Yeah, we're going to vote on that bill this week. I think you'll see a strong vote. This is something that could actually get signed into law.
Yeah, but so will it go through? Will actually Mitch bring it up in the Senate, because, you know, there is a logjam, and then will the president sign it?
Yeah, this is a bill that, if it does end up on his desk, Scott, and I really do think this could clear the Senate's 60-vote threshold, I think if this is on Barack Obama's desk, he's going to have a hard time vetoing it, even though the federal agencies that are accessing our private emails right now without warrants, they want to keep being able to do it. I think consumers would go irate if they, first of all, knew this was going on, but then if there was a bill to stop it from happening, if it ends up on Barack Obama's desk, he'll have to sign it.
I agree, especially after what we just went through, where more than half of Americans wanted privacy over the security with the Apple phone.
Right. Why was this happening? I mean, that's the bigger question, is why are federal government agencies allowed to do this in the first place?
They're falling back on a law from the 1980s. And of course, you didn't have email, you didn't have the understanding of how technology works. So the law really is outdated in terms of how it protects consumer privacy. And then federal agencies went and took this and abused the law in a way to allow them to go and access data. And courts have backed them up, and that's the surprising thing. You would think courts would have said you can't do it, but courts have allowed them to get our data without our knowing and without a warrant.
This is a good thing. I'm glad you're supporting this, and we'll be watching you take action on it this week. This is important. I know our viewers care about this. We got to move on to the election, because a 60 Minutes report recently aired on Sunday, revealing the men and women of Congress spend a majority of their time in call centers, asking voters to donate money to their respective party. You raised a record amount of cash, Congressman. Tell us about that and where that money went and how you see the election.
Well, first of all, the report's inaccurate. Most of our time is spent, working on building coalitions. I know as the House Majority Whip, my goal is to work with our members to advance a conservative agenda. And we've got 246 House Republicans. Not all of us think alike, and that means we've got to be meeting all the time. And during lunch, I'm a member of the Republican Study Committee, and every Wednesday we're meeting, and you're talking about some of the most detailed policy discussions about how to get the economy back on track, how to get spending under control. Those are the things that we talk about, and you do fundraise in the afternoons mostly, but the number one primary objective that I have and all of my colleagues has is to represent the constituents that elected us and to try to get the country back on track, and that's what we're focused on.
So tell us about that. Where does the leadership see this election going?
Well, I still think it's a very winnable race, and I think it's a two-person race. It's between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and I don't think anybody else will be our nominee coming out of Cleveland. I think it would be a mistake for anybody beyond the two who have won the bulk of the electorate. 70% of our voters have voted for either Trump or Cruz, and I think that will be our nominee going up against Hillary Clinton, who nobody trusts. I mean, if you look even Bernie Sanders supporters, she's trying to out-socialist Bernie Sanders, and yet Bernie supporters don't even trust her. So I think it's a race we're going to win, and we have to win because so much is at stake. Not just the White House, the Supreme Court, the direction of our country is all on the line, and I think people get it. That's why you're seeing such record turnout in these primaries.
So you see a Trump-Cruz ticket to unite the party, or what?
I think it's possible. Whether it's Trump and Cruz, or Cruz could be the Scalia replacement. Who knows? But I think at the end of the day, we're going to win this race against Hillary Clinton, and the country is ready for a change. People know that we're heading in the wrong direction, and I think that's why you're seeing enthusiasm.
Can you raise $500 million? It's $15,000 contributions of $33,400. Can you do it?
Well, I think first of all, you've seen in the primaries that without as much money as has been spent in the past, you're seeing our candidates do really well. And I think in the end, the money will be there. The question is, we're going to have to come together. We're going to have to unify at the end of this Cleveland primary in the convention, and I think we will. I think people know, again, what's at stake. The people that are running because they want to turn the country around. They're not going to let this get into a personality fight at the end. We're going to walk out with one nominee, and then getting unified is the most important thing. And once we're unified, we will win the race and beat Hillary Clinton.
Which is why we always talk about policy on this program and try to get to the substance of the issues. That's what voters want. Before you go, you would like to see Ted Cruz in the Scalia seat?
Oh, look, if he's not our nominee, I think he would be a great replacement for Scalia. There's a role for him either way, whether he's the nominee. But at the end of the day, I think he and Donald Trump have to come together for the good of the country, because that's the only way we're going to beat Hillary Clinton. And I do feel confident that it's going to happen once we get out of Cleveland.
Remember what Alan Dershowitz said about him. He was the best student he's ever had when he was teaching
Wow.
Ted Cruz. So.
Yeah.